This man is carnage. A man who has given up everything but fighting. Hello everybody, I hope all is well with you. Today I will be doing an analysis on one of my favorite Demon Slayer antagonists, Akaza. Just a heads up, this video will contain spoilers from the Demon Slayer manga, as I do believe the manga material later on will serve the best in a proper and thorough analysis of this character. So, without further delay, let us go into the reasons why I believe Akaza is an incredible antagonist and the qualities that make me believe so. So let us look at his motivations, his goal and his duty. What is he driven by? Well, we are aware that Akaza is motivated and fueled by the goal to become stronger. He detests and despises weakness, and he appreciates those with strength. But we must look at why. Where does this desire to be strong come from? In the context of being a demon, we may be predisposed to look at it in a malicious way. However, I want to look at the focus of his human life. The desire to become stronger, to be able to get medicine for his father, to fight back at those who wish to punish him, and to protect Koyuki, his loved one, for his entire life. Let us now look at why he detests weakness, and a question which I believe could merit two answers. His hatred for weakness may be rooted in a sense of projection and self-hatred. Akaza in his human life was not strong enough to protect his loved ones, Keizo and Koyuki, and thus he hates himself for being weak, and thus projects that outwards into others and his opponents. However, there is a more obvious reason, and one which he states himself. He despises what weakness brings. It was weak-willed individuals who were responsible for the poisoning of Koyuki and Keizo, as they could not do anything to them physically. He despises the weakness that would bring people to do such heinous things, and thus it has transferred and formed in its own way, in his own moral code as a demon. This brings me to another quality that Akaza possesses that I think makes him an effective antagonist, and it's to have a relatable character flaw. So despite his desire to become stronger, and his belief that those who are weak should be weeded out, Akaza does find himself in an ironic situation. The fact that he is not the strongest, and he is far from being the strongest. Characters such as Muzan, Kokoshibo, and Doma all outclass him in strength, and are constant reminders of his inadequacy in the eyes of his own ideology. This, in my opinion, is what adds a whole new layer to the character of Akaza, showing that Akaza's battles are not only limited to physical hand-to-hand ones, but he must also be experiencing internal battles between his pride, his ego, and his own ideology. And this is another case as to why I believe he has a good dynamic with Tanjiro, as Tanjiro points out this flaw in his ideology. He points out that Akaza was once a baby, whether he remembers it or not, and that he was weak, and someone stronger had to have helped him and protected him, and nursed him to the point where he could defend himself. Tanjiro bringing this out and mentioning this to Akaza is an incredible example of the dynamic between the two, which I will probably focus on later in this discussion. Another quality I believe that Akaza has that makes him an effective antagonist is a sense of loyalty, the sense of being loyal to a cause, family, or allies. Now, in what sense is Akaza loyal? Well, of course, there is the sense of subservience and forced loyalty to Muzan being the demon king, and Akaza being a lower demon. However, what I want to focus on for this analysis is a different type of loyalty, circling back to his human life, the loyalty to his moral code and the life he lived before. This is seen in his refusal to kill and eat women, a part of him that is still influenced by his life and experiences with his fiancée, Koyuki, even centuries later. I also observe loyalty in his fighting style. His battle stance is very reminiscent to the martial arts that Keizo had taught him in his life. The names of his abilities are very similar to the fireworks that he had promised Koyuki that they would watch together, another sense of loyalty to his life. And last but not least, is the battle compass he uses. His main ability is very similar in appearance to the snowflake Koyuki adorned in her life. Now let us delve into another one of Akaza's traits, one which I believe also aids him in being such an effective antagonist. And this is the sense of having a secret information, secret ability, or generally something that the protagonist or the main crew is unaware of. This allows the antagonist to become more mysterious, or at least much more dangerous. In this sense, Akaza has the secret ability of the battle compass. He appears almost invulnerable in his fighting style in battle, due to this hidden ability to detect battle spirit. We circle back to the Mugen Train arc, and how he was so effective against fighting Kyojiro, who was a Hashira with a very, very strong battle spirit. It is this sense of almost appearing invulnerable or undefeatable that gave us a sense of how strong Upper Moons are very early on into the series, and it is a clever use of writing to show this power difference. However, later on in the final arc, this secret ability becomes much more effective writing-wise, as it forces Tanjiro to improve and improvise his battle style to overcome this massive obstacle. He is essentially forced to tap into both the see-through world and the selfless state in an attempt to remove all will to hurt Akaza in a malicious way. This is being the same man who murdered Rengoku in front of him. For Tanjiro to do this is an extremely impressive feat that would not have happened otherwise if not for Akaza possessing this secret ability. And finally, I would like to discuss the resolution of this amazing antagonist and how Akaza left the story. In the final arc, after being beheaded by Tanjiro, who used the selfless state to do so, Akaza forces himself to keep on fighting. He holds onto his head in a desperate attempt to regenerate and to grow it back. He may very well be able to defeat Tanjiro and Gyu in this state, but in one moment, he remembers his past life. He remembers who he was as a person, the promises he made to others, and he realizes how far he has deviated from the person he wished to become. Embarrassed and ashamed of the path he has taken, Akaza destroys his own body, forcing himself to even regenerate even slower. Muzan appears in his mind, berating him for this decision, reminding him that he wants to become the strongest. But Akaza realizes that this is no longer necessary. He was beaten fair and square by Tanjiro, using the same principles of his ideology and the honor of his martial arts. In his final moments, he dies not as a demon, chasing an unattainable strength, but dies as a human, the man he once was, embraced in the arms of his lover, surrounded by those he loves. Thank you all for taking the time to watch the video and listening to this analysis on Akaza. Please feel free to leave any comments pertaining as to why you believe Akaza is such an effective antagonist, or any other Demon Slayer characters you believe are worthy of being an amazing antagonist. Thank you all very much once again. Please enjoy the rest of the weekend, and always remember to set your heart ablaze.